Good morning. Happy Sunday morning, October the 7th, 2018. It is the 27th day of the 6th Hebrew month. This story comes from, I better do my sign. Try to remember to do this at the beginning and end of every video. Sign that petition. Make it go viral. Okay. Fiona Barnett actually reported on this just recently, and I'm going to provide a link to this story right below the video so you can look at this yourself. This is the son, Daniel Green, of the National Director of the Boy Scouts of America, who is John H. Green. And he talks about, this was actually a blog post that he put up on July 2nd, he talks about how his father, John H. Green, who is the National Director for the Boy Scouts of America, that he is a pedophile. And I'd always had a really strange feeling about the Boy Scouts. I would never allow any of my children to become part of the Boy Scouts, and with good reason. Here we go. It's titled, "My Father, the Pedophile Boy Scout Executive." It is with a heavy heart I feel like I have to write this article about pedophiles and John H. Green, the National Director of the Boy Scouts of America. I have always adored my father, and my life's mission was to make him proud. We didn't get to spend much time together when I was a kid because my parents divorced when I was around 2. When I was 17, my mother, Linda, finally told me about my dad. She said he molested my Aunt Kim when she was very young. Turns out it was over a 6-year period. The grooming started at age 9 and progressed. My father replied to these accusations by saying, it's the 70s, we were all wild and crazy. It was a wild and crazy time. Unfortunately, when I was 8 years old, my older stepbrother molested me, so this added information caused me to fall into a deep depression, and I attempted suicide shortly after. I started blaming my Aunt Kim for the demise of my parents' marriage and my chance at a normal life and family. Then, at the age of 22, I was shot in the leg with a .45 handgun point blank. Then 2 years later, an image of me bleeding out from that gunshot in Parkland Memorial was published in Time magazine without my consent. Recovering from this gunshot and Time magazine article took its toll on my nerves and credit cards. Panic attacks and nightmares of the incident has left me with PTSD diagnosis and agoraphobia. I ended up moving to Hawaii because I was homeless with zero family support. For almost 5 years I lived in a van, sometimes down by a river. It wasn't that bad. On Kauai, however you pronounce it, Hawaiian Island. Kauai, I think it is. I was being healed and in therapy for sexual abuse and PTSD. All that time being down and out, what kind of father turns his back on his son, I asked myself. Then I remembered, I'm told he's a pedophile. I assume that is why my parents divorced. This revelation made me want to talk to my aunt immediately after 20 plus years of silence to find out what exactly happened to her and to hear her side. I contacted my mother, who I hadn't talked to in 18 years. She gave me her phone number, and my aunt and I talked for about an hour. This poor woman spent 5 plus years in therapy because of what my dad did to her from age 9 to 15. My mother was in a mental institution because of the memories of her relationship with my dad. She refuses to discuss her sins with my father and turned to religion to find peace. Our family therapist, Cindy Cubetin, even went to the Boy Scouts and filed complaints on my father, John Green, for child sex abuse. But nothing happened. The Boy Scouts of America covers up its pedophilia like the Vatican. Our therapist says it starts with what they call grooming, a psychological technique. My dad wore a pair of boots back then with a heart on each boot. My aunt said he pulled her aside and said, "This heart is for your sister, but this other one, this heart is for you. Don't tell no one." She was 9 and thought he had hung the moon. By 10, my aunt says he started fondling her when he could. This progressed into child pornography. Her story resonated with me. I believe her because I know the man. When I was in high school living with him, he would peek in my room and catch glimpses of me having sex with my girlfriend. I also accidentally stumbled across his homemade porn tapes of his current wife. Another memory my Aunt Kim shares with me is waking up to my uncle David Green on top of her and my father directing him from a wheelchair. She was being raped by my uncle, and my dad watched. My father was filming sexual acts with my underage aunt in an apartment in Dalhart, Texas, when she was only 11, she says. She is reluctant to give more details at this time, however, is willing to go on the record. I feel horrible for not warning people about my father until now. When I was 17, I couldn't deal with this information. It's hard to deal with it even now at age 43, especially after finally hearing my Aunt Kim's story. John Green, my father, certainly did damage to my family. I only pray his 40-plus years in the Boy Scouts didn't affect other families like it has mine. This isn't about personal issues between my father and I. This is about rampant pedophilia in our society that has to stop. Hallelujah. After I talked to my aunt, I felt there's no way I could live with myself for not warning others about pedophiles in the Boy Scouts like my father. A former director of the CIA became president of the Boy Scouts of America and made changes. He said not allowing homosexuals in the Boy Scouts of America is unsustainable. Now homosexuals and girls can join. Of course, not all homosexuals are pedophiles. I'm not implying that. This is about access to boys and now girls. Everything said here is true, and my aunt and I are both willing to take a lie detector test and testify to our statements in court. Daniel Green. So I'm going to provide that link. Yeah, so his father was the national director of the Boy Scouts of America, and it's since transferred to a CIA guy, which, of course, the CIA is a child sex trafficking front anyway. So not a whole lot of improvement there. So I just wanted to expose this. You guys call the Boy Scouts of America, call your congressmen, senators, whatever, and demand that the Boy Scouts of America be totally dismantled. It is sexually preying on our children, and it's got to stop. There is rampant pedophilia that's gone on in this organization for years, and I guarantee you it's still going on. Don't let your children become victims in the Boy Scouts, or Girl Scouts for that matter. Hallelujah. If you agree with what I'm doing, if you like what I'm doing in protecting the innocent children and exposing these satanic pedophiles, and of course having the means to go and preach the gospel across America, my PayPal link is right below this video. You can donate even without a PayPal. I have a link where you can buy my books. They're suspense thriller ebooks. And I also have a link to my Patreon where you can pledge your monthly support. I have a P.O. box as well. If you don't like to use the internet, you can mail a check to me. I appreciate your support. Thank you guys. I love you. You're the best subscribers in the world. Even when sometimes we don't agree, that's fine. I'm perfectly willing to have civil, open debate in the comment section. Love you guys. Shalom, shalom. And I will end again with this. Make sure you send me your email if you're 100% committed to going. And don't forget to sign the petition. And make sure you click on the verification email or your signature won't be counted. Shalom, shalom.